There is one thing on your list that has been there for 2 years. You know exactly which one. You did not have to search. It surfaced the moment I said it, and it came with a small flinch, and the flinch is the reason we are here. It is not a large thing. That is what makes it unbearable. If it were large, you would have permission. A court case takes years. A form takes 11 minutes. You have moved house with it. You have started jobs with it. You have ended relationships with it. It sat there through all of that, unchanged, waiting. And it charged you something every single day in a currency you have never been able to name, and you have explained it to yourself 100 times. Laziness, bad habits, executive function, too much on your plate. None of those explanations ever held, because you have done far harder things in the same week that you did not do this one. So here is what I am going to tell you. That thing is not on your list by accident. It is the most informative object you own, and you have been treating it as a moral failure for years when it was actually a map. If that just moved something you cannot name, stay. What follows was built for people like you. What you are about to hear is not clinical advice, but an immersion into the analytical psychology of Carl Jung. We will speak of the psyche from structure, not from the consulting room. And I warn you, if you came here to be told you need better systems, turn it off now. This is going to hurt before it liberates. Let me tell you what that list actually is. Most people look at their undone tasks and see one pile, one category, things I have not got around to. And because it is one pile, the explanation has to cover the whole pile. So the explanation is always about your character. You are disorganized. You are avoidant. You are the sort of person who lets things slide. But look at it properly, and it is not one pile. It is two, and they behave completely differently. The first pile is genuine backlog. Ordinary, boring, slightly annoying, and it moves. It sits for a week or a month, and then a Saturday arrives and it clears. No drama, no dread. You do not think about those items in the shower. The second pile does not move, ever. It has been there for a year, 2 years, 9 years. And here is the part that should interest you. The items in the second pile are usually smaller than the items in the first. I call that second pile the stalled inventory. And a stalled inventory is not a productivity problem, because productivity does not explain it. A person who cannot make a phone call but can renovate a kitchen does not have an energy shortage. Something specific is blocking one specific thing in you, and it is doing it consistently, for years, with perfect accuracy. That is not chaos. Chaos is random. Yours is precise. Now let me tell you what Jung would have done with your list, because he did exactly this, professionally, with a stopwatch. Before he was famous, Jung ran the word association experiment. It was simple. He would read a word, and the patient would say the first word that came to them, and Jung would time the gap. He measured it in fifths of a second. Most responses came back immediately, but on certain words the patient hesitated. Not much, a beat. Sometimes they gave an odd answer, or repeated the stimulus word, or laughed, or forgot the word entirely a moment later. And Jung's insight was this: the hesitation was the data, and so is yours. The delay was not noise in the experiment. The delay was the finding, because underneath that particular word, there was something loaded, and the loading is what slowed the response. He called that loaded thing a complex, not in the loose modern sense of having issues. He meant something specific, a cluster of ideas held together by a feeling, operating with a degree of autonomy, capable of acting on you without your consent. And he made a point about complexes that almost nobody repeats, because it is uncomfortable. Everyone knows people have complexes. What is less understood is that complexes have people, which means the thing that has sat on your list for 2 years is not evidence of your character. It is a reaction time. Now, where did it come from? Jung would not have started with the errand. He would have started with what the errand is attached to, because the errand itself is never the problem. Nobody is afraid of an envelope. So think about how ordinary tasks worked in the house you grew up in. For a great many people who end up with a stalled inventory, the answer is the same, and it has nothing to do with tidiness. Tasks were not neutral there. Tasks were inspected. You did not simply do a thing. You did a thing, and then it was examined, and a judgment was returned. Sometimes the judgment was small, a sigh, a correction, a hand reaching over to redo what you had just done without a word, which is the loudest version of all. And you learnt something that no child should have to learn about a chore. You learnt that completing a task is not the end of the task. Completing a task is the moment you submit yourself for assessment. Think about what that does to the arithmetic. An undone task carries one cost. It nags, it is uncomfortable, and it is a known, stable, survivable discomfort. A completed task carries a different cost. It opens a file, it invites a verdict, and a verdict cannot be predicted or controlled. So you did the only sensible thing available to you. You learned to prefer the nagging, and here is what makes this so difficult for you to see in yourself. You were not being lazy, you were being strategic. Postponement was the only form of sovereignty on offer. You could not refuse the task outright, because refusal had consequences, but you could delay. Delay was invisible. Delay could not be punished, because nothing had happened yet. Delay was the only door in the house that locked. 40 years later, there is nobody left to inspect anything. The house is gone. The people who sighed are elderly, or absent, or dead, and the door still locks, because the door does not know any of that. It was built before you had the concept of a year. This is not weakness of character. It is not a discipline deficiency. It is an old defense, still funded, still running, still doing the job it was hired for, on a threat that expired decades ago. Now I want to walk you through what that defense actually costs you, because Jung's interest was never in scolding the symptom, it was in the accounting. There are 3 consequences, and they get worse in order. The first I call the tax on the undone. You believe an undone task costs nothing until you do it. That is the whole basis of postponement. It feels free. It feels like you have deferred a cost into the future. You have not. You have converted a one-off payment into a subscription. Hold a door open with your foot. Nothing is happening. You are not moving, not lifting, not working, and yet that foot is now unavailable for everything else, permanently, for as long as the door stays open. You cannot walk, you cannot run, you cannot even stand normally. The door is doing nothing, and it is taking a limb. That is what an item in the stalled inventory does to attention. You are not thinking about it, you are holding it. It occupies a small permanent allocation of you, and that allocation is withdrawn from your total, and your total is what you have available for your entire life. Now count your doors. How many things are you currently holding open with your foot? Not tasks you plan to do, things that have been open long enough that you no longer notice the position you are standing in. That is why you can wake up rested and feel tired by 10 in the morning without doing anything. You did not do nothing. You held 11 doors. And this is why the productivity advice never worked on you. Every system you tried was designed to help you do more, faster. None of them was designed to close a door. They just gave you a nicer way to write the doors down. The second consequence is stranger, and it is the one that makes people feel insane. I call it the inflation of the small. Watch what happens to an item over time. It does not stay the same size. On day 1, it is 11 minutes of work. On day 100, it is still 11 minutes of work, objectively, in the physical world. But it is no longer 11 minutes to you. It has grown. It now has a weight and a texture and a small dread attached to it, and the dread is completely out of proportion to the labor. Jung had a specific observation here, and it is the reason his term was not just idea, but complex. What makes a complex is not the thought, it is the feeling wrapped around the thought, effect, and effect accumulates. Every time you saw the item and did not act, you did not simply fail to do a task. You had a small experience of failing, and that experience attached itself to the item. Then it happened again and again, 400 times, so the envelope on the table is no longer an envelope. It is an envelope plus 400 small documented failures, and you are not avoiding the envelope, you are avoiding the archive. Put a pebble in your shoe and walk a mile. The pebble weighs nothing. It will govern every step you take. It will change which muscles you use, how far you go, whether you stop, and by mile 2, the pebble will be the only thing in your mind. Nobody would say you are weak for limping, and nobody would say the pebble is heavy. Size and effect are unrelated. That is the whole lesson of the small, and this is why other people cannot help you, and why their help makes it worse. They see 11 minutes. They say, just do it, it will take you 11 minutes. And they are correct about the physics and completely wrong about the load. And you cannot explain the difference, so you agree with them and add their bafflement to the archive. You have probably tried to game this. You told yourself you would do it on Monday. You put it in your calendar. You told somebody else you were going to do it so that the shame would push you. And you watched yourself not do it anyway, on the exact day you had chosen, with the time free and the thing in front of you. That is the moment people give up on themselves, not the first failure, that one, because you had removed every excuse and it still did not move. Understand what you actually proved that day. You did not prove you lack willpower. You proved the block is not made of willpower, which is why willpower could not touch it. You were pulling on the wrong rope very hard for years. And if what I am telling you is touching something deep in you, if you feel that finally someone is putting words to a thing you have carried for years without understanding, subscribe now, not for me, for yourself, because what comes next is the one that matters, and you should not have to go looking for it later. Let us continue. And here comes the third one. I need you to receive this one with your guard all the way down. It is the one that stops being about tasks and starts being about who you think you are. I call it the migration of the verdict. Here is the sequence, and it happens so slowly that nobody catches it in progress. Stage 1. You have an undone item. It is a fact about a task. Neutral, external, specific. Stage 2. You have an undone item and a feeling about it. Still specific, still about the task. Stage 3. And this is where it turns. The item stops being about the task and becomes evidence about you. It is no longer the letter is unopened. It is, I am the kind of person who does not open letters, and once that migration happens, something closes. Because a task can be done. An identity cannot be done. You cannot complete being a certain kind of person. So the moment the verdict migrates, the item leaves the category of things that are solvable and enters the category of things that are simply true about you. Listen to how you describe this, and you will hear it immediately. I am just bad at admin. I have always been like this. It is just how I am wired. Every one of those is a stage 3 sentence. Every one of them sounds like self-knowledge and functions like a locked door. And here is the mechanism that makes it so hard to reverse. You are running a court that only ever hears the prosecution. Think about the evidence you have available. 400 of your days, not doing it, all recorded, all remembered. And on the other side, nothing, because you have never done it, so there is no evidence that you can. Your defense has no exhibits. It cannot have any. The only thing that would produce them is the very act the verdict has already ruled you incapable of. So your court convicts, correctly, on the evidence in front of it. And then it applies your sentence to everything, because verdicts do not stay in their file. That is the last thing I need you to understand about this stage. Once you have concluded that you are someone who does not follow through, that conclusion does not confine itself to paperwork. It goes and stands next to every larger decision in your life. The thing you want to start, the thing you would need to sustain for 2 years. You will feel yourself decline it, and the reason will feel like realism, and it will actually be a 2-year-old envelope filing an opinion about your future. That is the real cost, not the errand. The errand is 11 minutes. What it has purchased is a permanent downward adjustment to what you believe you are capable of attempting. Now, what follows is not what you expect, and I want to be clear about that in advance. Jung is not going to tell you to make a list. He is not going to tell you to break it into smaller steps. He is not going to tell you to eat the frog, do the worst thing first, or build a streak. Every one of those treats the delay as an obstacle to be overcome by force. And force is exactly what has failed for 2 years, because you have never been short of force. What he did was the opposite. He did not remove the hesitation, he followed it. That is the entire reversal, and it is worth saying slowly. In the association experiment, the delay was not the failure of the method. The delay was the instrument. When the needle behaved oddly, Jung did not fix the needle. He dug where it was pointing. I call it the delay map. Let me give you the picture, because this is the one that makes it land. Surveyors used to find ore underground, with nothing but a magnetic needle. They would walk a field, and for most of the field, the needle behaved perfectly and told them nothing. Then somewhere in the middle of an ordinary field, the needle would dip, not spin, not break. Dip slightly, consistently, in one place. Now think about what a bad surveyor does with that. A bad surveyor concludes the instrument is broken. He gets a better needle. He recalibrates. He blames the weather, and he walks off a field with iron under it. A good surveyor does the opposite. He marks the spot. He does not care about the needle at all. The needle has already done its job, and its job was to tell him where to dig. Your list is a field. Most of it is unremarkable, and the items that clear on a Saturday are telling you nothing about yourself. But there are 2 or 3 places where your needle dips, and it has been dipping in exactly those places for years, with an accuracy nothing deliberate has ever matched. You have spent all that time trying to fix the needle, so the practice is not what you assume. Do not go and do the task. That is still force. It will work once, on one item. It will teach you nothing, and your next item will stall in exactly the same way, because you removed an object and left the deposit sitting underneath it. Instead, take one item, the oldest one, because age is a measure of loading, and do not ask how to get it done. Ask what it is attached to. Sit with it and go looking for what it is attached to, and be patient, because your association is almost never the obvious one. The unopened letter is rarely about the letter. It is about a name on it. It is about the year it reminds you of. It is about a phone call you would have to make afterwards, to somebody who used to sigh. It is about your small chance of being told you did it wrong, and how old that fear of yours is, and whose voice it arrives in. You will know when you find it, because it does not arrive as an idea. It arrives as a temperature change. Something in your chest will move, and you will think, oh, that, and you will probably resist it before you get there. So let me tell you what the resistance sounds like. You will decide the question is self-indulgent. You will hear yourself say, it is just a form. You do not need to psychoanalyze a form. You need to grow up and do it. Notice who is talking. That is not your voice. That is the voice from the house, arriving right at the moment you got close to the deposit, doing the only job it has. It is not there to make you productive. It is there to keep you away from the spot. When you hear it, you are near. Keep digging. And here is what happens then, and it is the reason this method is worth more than discipline. Very often your item does itself, not always, but often within a few days, without your effort, almost carelessly, because what was holding it was never the labor, it was the loading. And the loading does not survive being looked at directly. I will not lie to you about the difficulty. This is slower than a productivity system. It does not give you the clean satisfaction of a cleared list, and you cannot do it to 11 items in one afternoon. You can do it to 1, and 1 is enough to break the migration, because now the court has an exhibit. Now, Jung had a way of reading symptoms that I want you to carry out of this video, because it is the whole difference. He argued that you can look at any psychic event in 2 directions. You can ask what caused it, which points backwards, and it is usually a dead end. Or you can ask what it is for, what it is pointing at, what function it is serving right now. That second question is the one nobody applies to procrastination, and it is the only one that pays. Because read the second way, your delay is not a malfunction, it is a report. Something in you has been trying to tell you where the deposit is, and it has only one signaling mechanism available, and the mechanism is refusal. It cannot write you a letter, it can only make you unable to write one. So the stall was never the failure. The stall was the message, sent 400 times, with total consistency, and it will keep being sent until it is read. And the thing that changes when you finally read it is not your productivity, it is the direction of your attention. You stop managing the surface and start working the ground, and something reorganizes underneath that no system could ever have reached. What appears in you is what I would call interior order, and it does not look like a cleared list. It looks like a shorter distance between your deciding and your doing. Your gap closes, not because you became disciplined, but because there is no longer anything buried in the gap, and other people will notice a version of this before you do. They will not say you have become organized. They will say you seem lighter, or that something has stopped, and they will not be able to name what. You will know. You will know it is the doors. Your list is not a record of your character. Your list is not evidence in a trial you have already lost. Your list is a map, and it has been accurate the entire time, and it has been waiting for you to read it instead of resent it. And I want to be careful here, because there is a trap at exactly this point. Understanding this does not make you deeper than the people who simply do their errands. Watch out for that. That thought is comfortable, and it is another door. Insight without a single completed thing is just a more sophisticated form of postponement, and the psyche is very good at accepting it as payment. It does not make you interesting, it makes you accountable. Accountable to one item, this week, examined properly rather than attacked. Accountable for not turning this into another thing you understand instead of do, because that is what interior order actually is, and it is narrower and better than the version you were sold. It is not a clean house. It is not an empty inbox. It is you, with nothing left in you that you have to work around. If this reached you, subscribe. Not for me, because the next ones go further into this than I can go in one sitting, and leave a comment with one thing. Name the oldest item on your list and how long it has been there. Not what it is about, just the item and the number of years. I want to know whether your number is as high as it is for most people who find this video. I read them all. And if there is someone you know who has been calling themselves lazy for a decade about something that takes 11 minutes, send them this. That is probably the only reframe they were waiting for. There is one thing on your list that has been there for 2 years. It is not there because you are lazy. It is there because it is the single most honest object in your house, and it has been trying to show you something the entire time.